won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, then I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome into Pregaming here on Sports Money. We don't stop. We can't stop. We won't stop. We're going to keep it rolling, keep it going. We got ourselves week 0 in college football finally here. Must have been a rowdy Saturday night. Things are a little off kilter. We'll get this situated. All right. Fired up for the day here. We started out strong. Got ourselves a couple of winning bets in the books out there. First 5 under 4.5 cashed in the Cubbies spot there. Cubbies and Brewers. Brewers come back and win that game 7-0. You know what that means. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about plenty of games here. Some action that's popping off that I did jump in on. I'll share it with you guys here. Iga Swiatek. Iga Swiatek. ATP Cincinnati Championship against Jasmine Paolini. Took the minus 5.5 or 6.5. Iga Swiatek, 6.5, I think is what it was. Yeah, 6.5 makes sense. Let me double check. I can't just be throwing that out there off the cuff. Let me make sure I give you guys the right number. 4.5 was the number. 4.5 for Iga Swiatek, minus 4.5. That game is popping off right now. You're into some WTA Cincinnati action. Iga's your gal. You guys know my deal with the tennis selections out there. Do well in women's tennis. Not so well in men's tennis. Fortunately, got a sinner. Forfeited today. Retired, as they say in tennis. So we pushed. But we started out strong. We had Gibson. She gets the win for us at plus 110. Jacquemin, I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. She won. Went to the plus 1.5 games. The reason I went 1.5 games is because there was such a strong overtrend in that as a slight dog, I thought, well, probably this thing does go 3 sets and we'll probably see some 7-6s out there. She probably comes out on top, but let's get that little insurance in our back pocket. Didn't matter. She swept her. 2-0 cashed. So we're coming in fire 3-0. We need Swiatek at minus 4.5 to kind of complete the sweep for the afternoon card. We've got action here for the evening card. Smaller Monday slate as we've been accustomed to seeing here. There's a lot of games, but had to parse down some of the action here. St. Louis and Miami. We'll talk about that game. Baltimore and Boston. Big trends in that game. Texas and Kansas City. San Francisco and the Padres. I added a game in there for the Seattle Mariners and the Philadelphia Phillies, situational spot that I think we want to take advantage of. We're going to talk about this Brew Crew spot. It came up. I want to talk about it. And then Cincinnati and Washington, NFL preseason. Now, we didn't have the fairest of preseasons in week 1. I think we were like 1-2 or 1-3 or something like that. We were live on Saturday. We went 1-1 with some live totals. One game just barely went over. The other one stayed under. We cashed both those 1-1. Did roll off 4-0. 4-0 in the preseason this week. So, the 2 plays that I gave out to you guys on Tuesday, the early look-ahead spots, cashed. They both cashed on Saturday. The one was under. The other was over. We got that money. I gave out the Bears first half yesterday. That cashed as well. So, we're starting to settle in. Unfortunately, we only have 3 weeks of preseason, which means this next week will be the last week. Then they'll take a week off, and then they'll start the regular season for that big Thursday night football game. So we got our work cut out for us. I've got a couple spots already. If you guys want to look ahead parlay that I gave out earlier today, I will share that with you right now. Get your pens and paper ready. Early look ahead parlay. Let me look and make sure I got it right. Got to make sure I get it right with you guys. Got a lot of things happening. Started capping some college this weekend here. So I want to make sure I get it right. Let's get it right. Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. Cleveland Browns and Denver Broncos parlay. Moneyline parlay. Reason being, well, these lines are moving already. They moved overnight from, I don't know who the fuck's up betting preseason week 3 football overnight on Sunday, but it was plus 145. It's down to plus 105. So you're going to want to lock those two in now. If you're buying into this early look ahead action that we're getting involved with, just strictly rolling off of the steam numbers, trying to get in front of them. Or around them, I guess is maybe the better case behind it. So there you go. Cleveland, Denver, early action. Also, I mentioned the Swiatek spot there. So we're going to start this thing off with some action right off the pop. Now we've got this Monday Night Football game that starts at 8 p.m. Also of note, we will live debut the UFC Shanghai card. UFC Shanghai featuring VB MMA picks. Ramon Scott and company. Why should you watch that show? Well, let me tell you this. There is a site out there that records cappers. The number 2 in all the land, not just the land, in all the world, the number 2 guy, most volume, highest win rate. That is VB MMA picks. Gives his plays out there for you guys. 3 bets. Maybe you didn't know that. Maybe you're sitting there wondering, who are these guys? Well, you know who Ramon Scott is. He's always running so hot. But VB MMA picks up almost 900 units, almost 200 units. The guy closest to him, about 300 units back from the top guy. So now you know that's who's accompanying the Sports Money Squad as we try to lead you guys to victory in the UFC. UFC 319 was a fun card. Early, did cash the first strike play. Most important. We saw, unfortunately, the spinning elbow takes him down the road. Murphy comes off with the dub. And then we hammered that late spot there as well. The decision for Hazmat. Hazmat Shemaev comes out there. That was that like a plus 450 or something in that effect. So, there's spots that we like to play. We like to get involved in every single fight. But some of them are clearly weighted different than others. And just a function of where we like to see those lines. So when you see those first strike plays, we're weighting those things pretty heavy. You want to get involved in those. That was a plus 165, I think was the number that was given out there. So away we go. We got the kickoff. We got the debut. Gonna have a little fun live stream after that with our friend Razor Sharp Picks doing this 33 contest. He asked if I wanted to get involved in the 33 contest. I said, what the fuck's a 33 contest? He said, if your team gets 33 points, you win the pot. If not, it rolls over to the following week. And they're going to do the live drawing tonight. So we'll hang out for a little while. I'm sure we'll talk some live betting. We'll talk some sweating. We'll talk about how we're going to try to get paid in this action. And I'll take the time to remind you guys that the survivor entries are open over at the SZN. So if you're not a customer familiar with that, you can get in the single survivor entry. It's $10. The winning prize is $50,000. They have $100,000 in prizes that they give out. It's not our pool, just a pool that MMA Jeff and I have been playing in for a decade, maybe a little more. Not sure. But that's where we put our money. That's where we like to get paid. That's where we like to play. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys do get a chance to check that out as well. We gave out some free memberships this past weekend here from the Saturday live stream as well. Now, this upcoming Saturday, I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are true degens. We are united as one. At 3 a.m., that UFC card will pop off. So, we're going to tackle it. Yeah, we're going to give it a go. And then at 12 p.m., so pretty much right when that card ends, the Ireland game will take place between Iowa State and Kansas State. Telling you right now, that's a rematch. That's a rematch, and it's a meaningful rematch. Sometimes you see these rematches in college football, and it's like, all right, this team's got no returning starters, and the other team has 3 returning starters or players, and they weren't even starters, and they weren't really involved in that previous game. Not the case. These two teams have a dozen plus returning starters on both sides of the field, including their quarterbacks, their coaches. This should be a lot of fun to talk about. And I'm going to throw a video together that gives you guys my best bet, I think, for that college football game that'll start at noon on Saturday. So let me just double check. Well, first, good news. Good news. The first fight, Zhao Long and Yu Su Young. It's going to be one of those weekends. Starts at 3:45 a.m. So plan accordingly, I guess. I don't know. This is the proverbial question. Do you go to sleep or do you just stay up and run it right through? I guess we'll have to play that one by ear. But again, appreciate everybody taking the time to join us here tonight. We're going to break down this card. We're going to give you some thoughts on some baseball action. Again, some early action. So we do have to get to work. You know, the most important thing before we even get started, before we even pop the top off the shop and bust these bookies up, it's thumbs up time, you guys. That's how you can show us some support here in the show. You like what we're doing? You're making some money with us? You enjoy the breakdowns? You want to fade the breakdowns? I don't care. Do what you want to do. Fade at your own risk. But smash that thumbs up button and show some support. All right, let's do this here. I popped this off before. I started the show previously with some player props. You guys enjoy those player props. I'm going to give you a little 4-leg player prop parlay. If you're in the get add a 5th leg. I got one with a 4 and one with a 5. You decide. You decide. Your decision. Everyone's in their own decision-making abilities here tonight. But first leg of the player prop parlay, all baseball specific. We're going to go Kevin Gausman. We got the over 5.5 strikeouts. Player prop number 1. Player prop number 2. Going to fire off Spencer Strider. Going to take the old Stride dog to get over 7.5 strikeouts. If you know about Spencer Strider, you know that he came in on a pitch count after coming back from injury. He's been settling back in. They manage his pitch count well. He's been playing well. That's a juicy spot. So you can even tease that down to 6.5 if you want it. Nasty Nestor. We're going to give his under 4.5 hits allowed. Let's play the Giants. We'll talk about that game. And then, of course, Gavin Williams, the old Guardians. Going to take the Guardians. Gavin Williams under 5.5 strikeouts. He's been managing that 5 number better part of half the season at least. So that's the 4-leg. And if you want to add a 5th, your choice. I got to look at Ketel Marte. This guy was firing hotter than, I don't know. He was hot. Then he went to Coors and he was not hot. In fact, he was a designated hitter yesterday. So coming back in after just getting 2 at-bats at it, settling back in, trying to go out there and catch and recover. That'll push you over 30-1 if you pop him in there. So there's a 5-leg player prop parlay to kick this show off. You guys get your best bets in the chat. Let's shout out who's up in here, ready to rock with us. And I'll share some plays and we'll see if we can't get this thing rolling in the right direction. Keep it running. Fucking 3-0 start for the day. Let's see what we can do together, collectively. Gorky's popping in here. Comment number 1, Alcaraz in some men's tennis. Catch the Brewers money line. He likes the Bengals plus 3.5. I think he means minus 3.5. Maybe not. Maybe he did. He says played yesterday at plus 100. Tech B says, what up? We closed out strong on Saturday night. Shout out to my guy, Bo Jackson, our resident Toronto whisperer. Curious if he thinks tonight's a Toronto night. Here we go. Gerald Jones coming through, giving you the player prop. Likes the run line for the Padres here in that aforementioned San Francisco Giants game. We'll talk about it. Bounce back home spot. Great numbers for the Padres. He's giving you the run line at a big plus money price tag there. Shout out to Bo Jackson. He did say it is his birthday and he's looking to fade the Jays tonight. Well, happy birthday, Bo Jackson. Happy birthday to you, my guy. Let me see if I got, I'll give you this.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up.
That's a special shout out and happy birthday to our guy, Bo Jackson, my man. Keeping it locked down there in the 6, baby. Robert McCormick's here rocking. Gerald Jones says happy birthday. Let's go. Tarek B says it dropped to minus 5.5 and you're against Ramon. In which game? Is that? Are we? I guess I gotta get caught up on the chat. Peter Gracia says driving, but listening. My man, Peter Gracia. Drive safely. Stop geoengineering. Let's get it, my people. Good luck on your bets. There's Nine Legacy. He wants the full parlay. I got you. I gave you the parlay. Gerald Jones, his best bet, 61.57. My man's record there. Record keeping so important in what we do here. Robert McCormick says, I went all in on tennis today. I am on some U.S. Open qualifying right now. Shout out to Action Jackson. My man in the house here, Dana Delt. Best damn sports show. Most profitable damn sports show. Fact. Everything's a 1-unit bet. We've been firing. In fact, I took a look. August, kind of got into some things here with some basketball and some baseball and some football settling in from the All-Star break. Excuse me while I'm brain dead here temporarily. But look, yeah, we've been firing. Our last 30 days, we're up about 17 units. Man, we had a terrific, we had an awesome July, man. We were up almost 40 units in the month of July, but we got to keep it going, man. We don't stop. We won't stop. We keep firing away. Shout out to Trevor Davis. Nutflush Allen's in the house. What's up, Nutflush? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Fernando Mendoza likes the Brewers at -104 again. 5-1 to start the MLB slate. Jay Maines is taking a shot on Strider under 17.5 outs at plus money. There's Cedric. Trevor Davis likes Atlanta on the run line. Jay Maines says lighter, 3 walks today. Nice. I like that you guys are getting into these alternate lines. This is the stuff that we have to press forward with as we try to close out the baseball season. But I do think this week and next week will be probably some of the best edges that we can get in baseball. I talked about this before. They got to put numbers on every single sport. That means college football. That means preseason. That means look-ahead spots, right? They're not just doing week 0 college football. They're giving lines for week 1 college football. Them big bettors coming in to play them contest out there in Vegas. They got to be ready to take the action. And so they'll be monitoring a lot of look-ahead spots. And we're going to be looking to clean up the scraps here in Major League Baseball. J Main likes Perdomo over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. There's AOD. He's rocking with us. Let's go. Kelly V says, happy birthday, Bo. From one Leo to another. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. She's giving you a little birthday action here, too. Says Philly, San Diego parlay. Shout out to Vitalis. Says, good luck, Kelly. I'm on the other way with the Mariners tonight. Route needs one more home run to beat the home run record for catchers. Wow. Did not realize that Vitalis coming and dropping some goods. The Nuggets. Not the Denver Nuggets. The actual Golden Nuggets, if you will. All right, you guys, let's do it. Let's get to work. It's that time. I mentioned we're going to cover these games. We're going to give a breakdown. We're going to talk about some of these spots. Not a ton on the card here tonight, but I'm waiting to see. I'm not stalling. I'm just waiting to see if they're going to give me a pitcher in this fucking Pirates game. What's going on? Are we getting a bullpen day? Bullpen afternoon? Are we getting a bullpen afternoon? Let's see. Oh, it's Jameson Tayo. Oh, little JT action in our lives out there, huh? Against Chad Patrick? Huh. Chad Patrick's middle name is Beach Ball. Oh, can't wait to talk about that game. We got it labeled as Brewers. But we'll see. Let me see. Let me just look at one more thing here. Like I said, that was the last game that I was looking at before we got this thing ready to roll. But it's very important information that we're seeking. Huh. All right, let's go. I'm laughing. There's something coming up. There's something up my sleeve. And it's the under in this Miami Marlins St. Louis Cardinals game to kick this day off here. This game opened up with some line action. Cardinals are road dogs is what it comes down to. Plus 110. They've moved to plus 123. Meaning the Marlins have gone from minus 130 to minus 140. What's interesting of note, lots of Marlin love. 69% of the bets are on the fish. 57% of the cash are on the cards. 93% of the bets are on the over. 92% of the cash are on the over, yet it's come down from 8 to 7.5. Now, I did pay back up to get to the 8. You could argue, for the sake of argument, I'd have to look at the data a little bit more detail. Just a little. But I don't think over the long haul, the 7.5 or the 8 makes much of a difference other than my comfort level. Key numbers 7, 9, and 11. Clearly, 7.5 and 8 really don't make too much of a difference other than we're seeing all that love coming in on the over, and yet we're seeing some under action kicking away here, and it makes a lot of sense. We have Yuri Perez. We were talking about Yuri Perez last start. Pretty successful out. On the flip side, what we got here? The flip side, we've got Liberatore, 4.08 ERA. And I get the Miami love. this guy can't catch a win. He has been catching unders. That's important to note. His recent performance, he's a lefty, right? So we know the lefty action, my affinity. However, he did just come off a shit in the bed. I don't know if that's entirely true. He had a nice little stretch. Let me put it that way. Coming out of the All-Star break, he looked refreshed and rejuvenated. Just gave up another run, and then 2 runs. Now, he did play Colorado. He was at home. He did give up 3 runs. They lost 3-0. So, certainly, I don't want to say it's a roll of the dice. I just think they managed this guy appropriately. Yuri Perez on the other side of things, though, look, plays well at home, 2.08 ERA. He did come off of a 4 earned run performance, and he's kind of had 2 back-to-back squeakers that have been tough for him, 5 earned runs and 4 earned runs. So now you look at this thing and you see, okay, both these guys have the propensity to give up runs, and yet we've got a number that's getting tagged to the over, and we're seeing that love coming in on the under. And I think it has a lot to do with the recent performance. You look at these two guys and look, bad starts. Cardinals have been losing like it's their fucking job. They lost 5 in a row. The Marlins on the other side are 2-7. So you're not winning games if you're not scoring runs, right? Pretty straightforward observation. Way to put our necks out there on the chopping block. Yuri Perez with the 3.58. But again, he plays better at home. He's a 2.64 ERA in his last 8. So he's had 2 bad goes at it. But what he's doing is his strike to walk ratio is pretty tremendous. He's been putting up over a K, 46 strikeouts to 10 walks. Pitch better at home. 2.08 ERA at home. That's 4 starts on the books for that thing. So yeah, he struggled with those 2 road starts, but I preface that by letting you know that I think this is a situation where he does bounce back. He's got a 2.0 ERA at home with 13 games in Miami. The Cardinals are almost bottom of the barrel when it comes to right-handed action. So we got the lefty on the card side of things. That certainly makes me feel better about keeping the Marlins in check. Then you got the Cards against righties, a 30th in OBA, a 29th in batting average, a 29th in strikeout rates. And remember that WRC plus. Expectations against the ballpark performance, 30th in Major League Baseball with a 66. That's bottom of the barrel. Can Liberatore go out there and do something? He's been playing better on the road, 2.49 ERA over 5 starts. So then you look at this against the lefties side of things, and the Marlins ranked 29th OBA, 30th batting average, and 29th WRC plus. These are 2 bottom shit teams that are playing each other out there, and there shouldn't be any reason to expect a lot of scoring other than just shit flips and becomes an anomaly. And so, Vitalis does say, on series openers, aren't the Marlins one of the worst teams? Yeah, I can't get behind the Marlins. I don't want to be involved in the Marlins business. I want to just be in the lower scoring game business out there. I like the first 5. I like the full game. I think you get a really good opportunity on both sides of things. I was a little concerned about that 7.5 and my comfort level of moving to the 8. Just recent performance. And I guess I got to look into it a little bit more, but it just feels to me like the Marlins just don't fuck off, right? I don't know if there's validity to it. Let me look. When I say that, I mean, like, they're too stupid to know they're done, right? They beat up the Cleveland Guardians 13-4. That game was looking plenty under until they fired off. I think that was around the 6th or 7th inning. Then they scored 4 runs. They lit up 9. They had a 2-1 against Boston in a change of venues. Scored 7-5 against Boston. That was a late over. And then an under 5-3. So that's my concern. They are coming back home. That's where Perez pitches better, and that's where Liberatore pitches better is on the road. So I'm comfortable with this under 8. All in all, I think this is keep me off this Marlins side of things. I know some people that like the Marlins. I respect it. How are you going to pay this price tag with Miami? If anything, you take the dog and cross your fingers, but we know that's not a strategy. I mean, this thing's moved up from 110 to 120 on the dog side of things for the Cardinals. I can't do it. I can't get to a side with either of these 2 spots. They're both struggling teams, and they're struggling on their record, and they're struggling in the batter's box. Oh, I don't know how you pick a side in this game. I can't do it, but I can take the under. I can feel damn good about it. I don't have a graphic for this next one, but we'll talk Seattle and Philadelphia. Not just a homer. In fact, I don't like playing I don't like playing my teams in general when it comes anything but the NFL, right? The Eagles, now they might be inflated and bloated. They might have to take a couple of non-covers the first few weeks to get that number back in check because laying tutties right off the hop in the NFL is not a winning formula. But look, the Phillies open up at minus 110. There's been slight movement. It's kind of that oscillating movement that we talk about, meaning it's gone from 110 to 112 on the Philly side of things. It's gone from 108 to 101 on the Marlins side of things. So got a little more expensive, I guess, to bet the Phils, a little cheaper on the Marlins side. Nothing too egregious, but you do have a significant steam note coming in on this game. 36% of the bets are on the Mariners. 76% of the cash. Now look at the total. Eights have started to show some 7.5s. Not true, because they're still kind of juiced, right? The under 7.5 is like a minus 105. But 95% of the bets and 84% of the cash are on the over. You have Logan Gilbert and you have Ranger Suarez. What I'll say about Ranger Suarez, despite, early in the season, these Phillies had pretty much a knockdown, drag out top 4 rotation. As the season's evolved, their bullpen has been what's kind of been pulling things out. And if you guys will remember, I talked a little bit about this. What did I say about the Mets in those lineups? Now, some guys might think I was making some fun of the Mets. I was, but those moves reeked of desperation and they haven't helped them. It was like they made moves because they were semi-good and they felt like they needed to do something at the trade deadline to keep them New York fans in check. And so they made some like sacrificial plays there where they were just giving away the farm to try to satisfy arbitrary need for movement. And your big signing of Juan Soto's showing inconsistency at best. But as you flip back to the Philly side of things here, it's interesting to see how the starting and the evolution of the game, I think, has changed with their pickups that they made at the trade deadline, which are things you want to see from a team that should be out there fighting and pushing to, be a World Series contender and take away that National League, pennant side of things here. And ultimately, there's a lot to like about both these guys. For me, when I was looking at this game, I thought a couple of things. First of all, we have the Sunday Night Baseball theory. The difference between Sunday Night Baseball theory is, the team that hasn't played, the team that did play, you fade them automatically, right? We think a lot about the fade situation, and Sunday Night Baseball favorite that loses, however, stays on the road, taking on a team that comes back from that extended road situation, are finding a way to come out on top. So in other words, they took some of the sting out of the price tag because they just came off a loss as a favorite. And then sure enough, look at this Phillies lineup: at Washington for a 4-pack, at Cincinnati for a 3-pack. And here's that extended piece of it. They had Texas in there as well. So we've got the triple crown, if you will, 3 straight road series with a team traveling back home. And this Mariners team that I talked about this at the start of the season. This Mariners team is fundamentally flawed in the fact that they aren't set up to be performing in their home ballpark, right? You should be a team that's better than 500 at home. Now, they made those moves at the deadline, so we'll give them that credit because they addressed some of those factors. And what's the reality? What's the proof source, right? Like anybody can come back after the Brewers win 14. I was talking about this on Saturday. Some jackass was posting that he won 14. Nobody here. Just some random jackass was like, I've won 14 straight or something like that. And he just kept betting the Mariners, or not the Mariners, the Brewers every night. Okay, dude, good for you. You found a streak and you ran with it. But I guess the leading indicator, when you look at this thing here and saying, okay, like you've got leading and lagging indicators. The leading is kind of the insight, the foresight. The lagging is it's already happened and there's nothing you can do about it, right? So looking at the leading indicators, when you talk about this team and their better performance on the Seattle side of things, Logan Gilbert has a big strikeout rate. He's got a splitter. The dude's he's got a good combination. And his strikeout rate, 65% when it comes to that splitter. So he's going to make some teams miss. Now you look at their batting performance. They're going on the road, so they're not playing at home. And you look and kind of identify what's happening on this side of things. Well, here's that WRC plus, right? Expected performance against ballpark conditions. Is it a hitter-friendly ballpark? Is the wind blowing in? Is the wind blowing out? What's your deal with the pitcher on the bump? Seattle ranks 9th in all of baseball right now over the past 2 weeks. Now, Philly's not slagging behind. They rank 12th, but it does give a slight edge. And then you look at the Mariners OPS, and it's 0.77 points higher on the road. So we got a better team on the road. Now this Phillies team's coming back from that extended road situation. And I don't care if it's this Sunday night football or Sunday night baseball team coming into this thing. To me, you're getting a lot of value on this Seattle Mariners side of things. Hitting conditions should be nullified. The wind looks like it's coming slightly in right to left and across the spectrum when it comes to the Phils here. I mean, Schwarber should, what are you going to say? Schwarber should hit a bomb. And yeah, we should probably see Cal Raleigh hit a bomb. But Cal Raleigh's never really performed at all against Suarez. He's only seen him twice, but there's a lot of zeros on both sides of this thing. Collectively, for me, this is just one of them situational spots that I like to get involved with because we've got that team on the extended road trip. Another factor that you look at, the Phillies are sporting a pretty mighty under. 8-0-2 when they're in non-divisional games after a divisional series to the under. So we have a lower scoring environment historically that the Phillies are showing. And think about, we talked about this months ago. You use up your juice against them teams in division because you need those points when it comes time to the playoffs to separate and create a gap between you and the competition. So you use up bullpen pieces, maybe a little unnecessarily. You use up all your fatigue. This is the fatigue factor that comes into this thing. And you got a Seattle team that's hitting better on the road. I mean, that's really where the end of the cap comes in for me, is looking at this thing and saying, we've got a lot of value on the Mariner side of things. We're getting them at a low price tag. Mark Hustles, he hates going against me. Steve Follow. Suarez has been struggling, but he still likes the Phils. Kelly V likes the Phils -1. I hate to give you guys a full breakdown and see everyone's against me, but that's baseball. Markel says, I'm on the under in the Orioles game. Phillies -1.5, 2.5 in the Braves game. What else you guys have to say about that? Redbeard, I was going to bag them Mets. Just talking facts, dude. I'm just talking facts. I said it before. What did they make those trades for? Those are some fucking garbage trades. They overpaid for mediocre pieces. Now, I get it. Part of that's because the market dictates that you have to go out there and do something. So, chosen one's on the under 8. Tarek B says, slow start for Iga. Jumped on the -2.5. All right. We'll see. See what happens. There, Ignatius Pennyfeather says, what up, crew? Toronto wins. Skeens gets no run support. Like that narrative. I like that narrative. For sure. And Toronto, speaking of teams that have been hitting, Toronto's been hitting. That's, I don't know for how much longer that theorem continues here, right? But we'll talk about that when it comes to the Brewers. But anyhow, there's 2 first games to pop off. They're early games that are going to be starting here. Let's roll on. It looks like we'll have a little consensus with some fellas in the chat because we look at this Red Sox game and we got Baltimore. Now, look, I fucked up. Hate to say it. I hate to say it. Somebody had asked me on the show Friday, you gave out Baltimore on Sunday. Now you're putting Houston together with an under. Wouldn't have mattered if I picked Baltimore or the under. I'm going to tell you what does matter. I was driving. So I was using the knee and I was doing this. And I hate to say it, got the phone in my hand, placing a bet. Stopped off. I just went to look through the action to make sure that I was good. Somehow, for the life of me, I don't know how. Somehow the over 18.5 live in the Phillies game and the Orioles was a bet that I made. It was like 6-1 or something like that for a payout. And I looked down and I was like, oh, fuck. I'm on Houston in the under this game. So I fucking can't. I cashed it out. I think I actually lost like $2 in the cash out. It was pretty close to when things had went down, but it's like, fuck. And as soon as I hit that button, I knew what was going to happen. Baltimore won the game and the Phillies game went over. So I fucked myself twice because I called it on Friday with you guys. Then I took Houston in the under. Then I cashed out at winning bet. What a fucking shit show. Moral of the story. Don't make bets while you're driving. But Baltimore's coming into this situation here against these Red Sox. We've talked a lot about situational spots for the Red Sox, particularly at Fenway. We got Trevor Rogers and Dustin May. Now, Rogers is the lefty. Rogers, we played on him his last start because he's been out there shoving. He's been doing his job. 7 innings pitched his last performance, 4 hits, 1 earned run. That was it. And that was against that Seattle squad that we talked about. He shut down the Phillies for 1 run. He shut down the Cubs for 1 run. He shut down Colorado for 0 runs. I mean, the guy's been dealing. Best pitcher they probably have in the pen, period. And the lefty factor doesn't hurt. On the other side of things, you got Dustin May. I said this before. I'll be critical of not just the Mets. I'll be critical of the Red Sox. The fuck were you thinking? If the Dodgers are willing to part ways with this dude and they're in struggle mode, he might not be the answer. That being said, he comes out there against the Astros in the Astros. So his first game against Kansas City, he's at home. Every single pitcher gets traded at the deadline. Shit to bed their first game. So we take that out of the equation. He goes down to Houston. He shoves. He only gets hit 5 times on 6 innings pitched, but he gave up no runs. So you got to like what you're seeing there kind of when it comes down to this guy, I guess, and kind of settling into a new home. Maybe it's just they got rid of, the wholesale pieces, that toxic culture of Boston with, what's his name there? Devers. Had to be something to it. Because Boston's been finding a way to come back and fire. Now, we have some really compelling reasons for this under. We got a 9-0 Baltimore. After back-to-back overs, they cannot sustain that pace. In fact, it's 9-0 to the under. The average number of runs are 4.5 runs per game. Imagine that. You just went over and over. So you got the perfect situation. My favorite, right? We see a team that we know Baltimore's flawed. They're not built to continue to sustain bombs every single day. And they just went over twice. So the books are sitting there going, fuck, what do we do? They're probably going to go over. No, the reality is they go under. They're averaging 4.5 runs on the Baltimore on the road. Here's the thing. If they were a dog, they got walked 4 or more times. The following game, they go under. They're averaging 6.5 runs a game. To me, the other pitcher just didn't have a shit. You shouldn't have been out there putting up runs. And somehow you were able to squeak through it. So that law of expectations versus actual performance very much comes in play. And then the last part of things for the intersection is Boston. Boston finds themselves 8-0 to the under. If they're a favorite in a revenge spot against a team they lost by 3 or more runs to, and they're going over by 6, they're going under with an average total of 6.5 runs a game. This is one where I saw 8.5s. They moved to 8s. Said, I don't need the 8. I'll just keep that. I don't need the 8.5. I'll just keep that 8. I'll feel pretty damn good about it. And we'll see where we go from there. But I think both these pitchers early can have a performance. Weather-wise, sometimes them balls like to hang out there in Boston. No pun intended. However, it looks like it's going to be like a nice, almost a fall day here. 60s, slight breeze, really right to left across the diamond. So and there's not a lot of humidity to speak of. It just doesn't seem like them balls are going to be hanging quite the way they used to. That's really tough. But if you look across the board, one guy, well, I guess 2. How do you count this? Alex Bregman's got 3 at-bats and 1 hit against Trevor Rogers. All right. So we'll give that to him. It's not a big sample, but one game he hit him once. Abraham Toro's in the 9 position, the first baseman. He won the Devers situation. He got first base. Devers got shipped out of town. 2 at-bats, 1 hit. So he probably came in there as a designated hitter, or he got relieved to let somebody else come in and hit for him. The rest of the players on both sides are all zeros. No hits, no performance, no success against these pitchers. So if you want another reason to support the under besides teams kind of exceeding their expectations and then buying low on a team that or selling high, I guess, buying low in situational spots, I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't see a lot of these bats having success early. We've seen some, I don't even want to put it in the ether. We've seen some games that they can just get cooking. So I don't know. Redbeard says, how do you feel about the divisional change, Doc? I think it's cool. It took me a long time as a hockey guy to get used to the AL-NL situation. Because, in the NHL, you have the Metropolitan Conference and you've got, they're still regionally bunched up. You don't have, it's foreign concept to me. But it's not that far different from the AFC, NFC, right? The NFL's AFC and NFC conferences are still kind of historically archived in the AFL merger that took place, back in the 70s. So I hope they don't do it. I hope it's not too dramatic. I hope it's not. I don't want to see the Phillies playing against the fucking Toronto Blue Jays because I got an AL team and an NL team, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. But oh, I'm all for it. I don't know if they need expansion. I saw our guy Sean Higgs made a tweet today. I couldn't agree more. He's like, dude, there's 3 or 4 teams that should be cut. They should be relegated. I agree. The Pirates are probably one of them. Maybe the Marlins. Maybe the Cardinals. I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals aren't. The White Sox are probably in that realm of things. Like, you can't just be perpetually, but you can't be bad forever. You have to do something. And if that means you have to get relegated to a lesser league, that's what they should do, is create like I know they have the farm system with minor league baseball, but I don't know. That's my 2 cents. J Main says Sox versus right-handed pitchers last 8 haven't been past 5.1 innings pitched with how long Strider's been going. Had me on the under outs, but my luck, he'll go 7. Fernando Mendoza says Springer to record 2 or more total bases. Markel wants to know if we can fade the Brew Crew. Let's go. Let's keep her moving. Texas and Kansas City. Let me get this thing adjusted here. Texas, Kansas City popping off. Here's a tough game. Tough in the fact that it's tough to count on both these teams. Nut Flush coming through, though. He's dropping some goods. He's on the Marlins team total over 3. I'll take a 5-2. How about that, Nut Flush? 4-2. 4-2. You can win and I can win. Now I almost have to put that exact score out there because I did this the other day. I was talking to our guy Sub about some soccer plays, and I had one game with Chelsea, and I had 2 players in Chelsea to get goals. I was like, these guys both line up. They had their new acquisition, and then they had their other striker. And I said to Sub, I was like, this is the last leg, dude. I was like, this game's going to probably end fucking 0-0. Chelsea should go out there and smack them. It's probably going to end 0-0. And it was like 9.50, 9.5 to 1. Fucking game ended 0-0. Couldn't believe it. I was like, really, dude? Oh, I couldn't believe it. The Texas Rangers, Kansas City Royals. Kansas City opens up as a -126. No movement. 68% of the bet, 72% of the cash. Really hasn't moved. It came down 2 cents for the Royals. It hasn't moved at all on the Rangers. And this 9 has shown some 9.5s. 75% of the bets and 59% of the cash. But it's waka waka with his 3.35 ERA. And Jack Leiter, you guys were just kind of talking a little bit about what should he do in this performance tonight. Both these teams are tough. Tough in the sense that, yeah, the Royals just came off of that beating against the, they thumped up on the White Sox. Thing the Royals got going for them is no change in venue. Very big. They've gotten accustomed to it now. This will be the opposite situation of Philly with their 3rd straight home series. And the Rangers, they just had that, they played at home against Arizona. They had the Phillies and the Yankees mixed into that arsenal of opponents that they faced. Then they rolled north of the border to the 6. They got busted up 6-5, 14-2 before they rallied back 10-4 yesterday. So a travel spot to some degree. Early game, so they got out of town, but they're internationally traveling. So there is that little bit of a concern when it comes to did they get back in time? I don't pay too much credence to that, other than if you think about like that Philly spot that we talked about the other day against the Nationals. Yeah, we want the Nationals because the Phillies didn't land until like 3 hours before the game time. So talk about routines being scrapped and thumped. I think these boys were used to their travel situation and what they're looking at out there. I just was looking at this game and I thought, man, I don't want to trust Texas. There is something on the line for these two teams. It's not like they're both checked out yet. They do have AL wildcard implications between these games. So this is a big one. So their batters should show up, which I do kind of lean to the home squad in that case. The Rangers have lost 8 of their last 10 and 16 of 13 6 and 13 is their record over their last 3 weeks. Is that a team you want to count on? And then you look at the Royals are 5-1 in their last 6 and 16-9. So I got to give a slight edge to the home team without the travel. Then I look at the Royals with Waka. He's got that 3.35 I talked about. 2.0 ERA in his last 6 starts. So he's absolutely dealing. He's got a 2.67 ERA at home. So he's been dealing. He's got a 3.35 ERA on the year, and he's got a 2.67 at home. 2 earned runs or less in 9 of his last 12 home starts. It's pretty fucking good. And, you know, you looked at a 2.67 ERA at home. I know that you can see some of these stats. And what I look at, though, when I'm breaking them down is I'm like, all right, he's doing better at home. And then we zoom in. His last 9 starts at home, his ERA goes down to a 2.24. So everything's saying bye, 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 bye on Michael Wacha. Bye, bye, bye. The Texas offense, this is the spot that ultimately pushed me to fading Texas. They scored 10 runs yesterday, but they were averaging just 2.9 over their previous 10 games. So when they played Wacha in June, he shoved 2 hits, 1 run through 6 innings. I guess the question is, what are you going to see out of Leiter? If he goes out there and shoves, it's definitely going to be a lower scoring game. But the reality is he's got a 3.94 ERA, and his metrics over his last 6 starts are definitely a red flag. You know, then we go back and we start digging into these bullpens, and we see the OBA over the last week. Kansas City's 3rd in baseball, 3rd in WRC plus, 4th in batting average, 3rd in strikeout rates. It's just too much. There's too much power behind this Kansas City lineup for me to think about playing Texas in this game. So I'll take him. I think it's a reasonable number. Again, moderate price tag. We just did the pitching breakdown. We saw that Wacha's out there shoving, and then you add to it the inconsistency of Texas bats, and you add to the increased consistency, best in baseball almost, with Kansas City. This team underachieved against their performance and expectations pretty much all year. They're now fitting it together. And that's where I think it's a problem for a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, because you roll 14, 15 straight games, at some point, you have exceeded your expectations. And when does that regression set back in? Not that you're betting on a team to fail, but it's just the law of averages. And in baseball, what's most important about any of this is you've got the law of large numbers. It's not like NFL where you only have a 17-game sample, 17-game season. These fucking guys are playing each other 15 times in a season. And this one, as pointed out by Kelly, against this tough series, important series, thinks there's live betting opportunities. I like Kansas City. I'm going to start there. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to get the first 5 based on those numbers, and you see those pitching metrics as well. I fucked up the other day because I'll tell you when I fuck up. Well, it depends on how I fucked up. I'm not going to implicate myself, but I'll say this. I took a Kansas City first 5, Yankees first 5 parlay the other day, and I placed it, and I was like, what? Why did I do that? And sure enough, Kansas City came back to win, and the Yankees came back to win. I was like, fuck myself on that one. I got too cute with it. So I don't have a lot of, if you noticed, by the way, I don't have a lot of first 5 action. I know I took that first 5 under today. That made a lot of sense to me with that Brewers, with the wind coming in and the pitching matchups that they had out there. But I've tried to cut down. You haven't seen a lot of double dips. We haven't seen a lot of first 5 in full games. You're kind of seeing like pick a spot and ride with it, because we've analyzed the data and we see that the double dips were breaking even or coming out getting vigged, and can't sustain that long term. So kind of why I'm favoring the full game more than the first 5. But you know, I talked a little bit about this one as well. The San Francisco Giants, San Diego Padres. I don't know if it's my bias. Fuck San Francisco Giants. With all due respect. I said it with all due respect, so that makes it okay. They open up at 110. They're 122 dogs. 78% of the bets and 77% of the cash are on those dogs. I'm sorry, on the Padres. 78% of the bets, 77% of the cash are on the Padres, the home team. And it's moved 5 cents in their direction, minus 131 to minus 136. The total's perplexing. This 8's moved to 7.5, and you have 94% of the bets and 91% of the cash on the San Diego Padres. The reason I say F the San Francisco Giants, he says, whoa, easy. I was thinking about that after I said it, Flesh. I better qualify this. I can't win with them. I can't win. If I bet against them, I lose. If I bet with them, I lose. So collectively, I was looking. Now, they just won that last game against Tampa Bay, right? And prior to that, they just played the Padres in that series. I didn't like at all what I saw in that Padres series. I mean, first and foremost, this team's not showing any propensity to score runs. Are they going to wave the white flag? The Deaver spot that didn't help him out whatsoever. One iota. And now we're sitting there against a Padres team that I told you guys this at the trade deadline. This team moved into the number one betting position to win the National League from sharp respected bettors across the Vegas spectrum. Meaning, the moves that they made at the deadline showed a lot of belief that they can go out there and fire. And that's kind of the position I see them in, especially when you see the Dodgers. And they just came off of a tough series against the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers finally woke the fuck up. But they swept that series before with the Giants. 4-1, 5-1, 11-1. There's no belief system in me that says that one thought, and just fairness on both sides. Say, I know, Duff Flush. I gotta text you and be like, dude, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? I will. I'll start. As I was looking at this one, there are some over trends that do support the San Francisco Giants. But sometimes you have to step aside the data and just look at recency. And I don't want recency bias to dictate this, but we've been pretty damn successful using the 14 and 21 day look to kind of determine what's happening with these two teams or with these teams and how they're rolling. Do you believe in Nasty Nestor? Probably he's only going 5 innings. Robbie Ray's been a guy. He's been doing some things out there for sure, but I got to look at this Padres team, and they are one of the best bounce back teams when they come back home. They've already shown that they can slap them boys around. So for me, when I was digging into it, I saw this lefties home favorite series openers on a total less than 8.5. That's the Padres. That's 199 to 95. 2-1. There's our 66% edge we're looking for. San Diego shit in the bed, then coming back home in a bounce back spot. They've won 10 straight times. They're 20-7 in that position. They're 13-2 in their last 15 as a home favorite. Way too much love going on there for me to get involved or not get involved. I got the Padres. I'll lay the -1. I got it just over even money. Nutflush says, one thing I will tell you is it used to be San Francisco versus LA. Yeah, I know. And I know you used to bang away at you when you were sharing your San Francisco Giants team total overs, dude. It was a thing of beauty. Used to be like, I'm playing it. People be like, what are you doing? I don't care. Flush Allen's got this thing for us. I got to take it. I don't know about this year, though. And it's fine to have one off, right? You need one off every so often. Let San Diego come back in there and do their thing. Kelly V says San Diego 11-2 versus the Giants. Does that concern you or support the situation? That's what I wonder. What up, Cookie Cam? My dude, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're cracking them books right in the face. All right, so that's the deal there. I'm going to take the... I'm taking the Cubs. I mean, look, I get it. Somebody asked me, why keep fading the Cubs? Or why keep fading the Brewers? Talk about this for a second. Zoom out for a second. The last 3 times I've played a Brewers game, they've been unders. Now, we won today, but I did lose the previous 2. I pulled back on that, and I saw the last time I actually faded the Brewers was against the Pirates with Paul Skeens pitching. I think it was Paul Skeens. And they were sitting at a +1. No, it wasn't. It was Andrew Heaney, which in hindsight, right? That's what we can all say. But the Pirates had just come off of scoring 14 runs in a 3-game series. And the Brewers were on that tear where they won 9 or 10 in a row at that point. And when I get to 10, I like to start looking the other way. It's hard to see a team do anything 10 straight times, 11 straight times, 12 straight times. They're professionals. Now, I did fade the Brewers yesterday at the Reds and we cashed. Now, it took extra innings, but we cashed. So in all fairness, the thought process and why do you keep fading the Brewers? Why do you keep fading the Brewers? Listen, besides the 10 straight situation, the Brewers have, you guys know I'm a big trends guy. Trends and angles are my friends. We've been making a ton of money. Nobody, and I'll stand by it emphatically, nobody has won more money in Major League Baseball this year than us. Yeah, we're up 116 units. It's been doing it with 1 unit at a time. Not 5 unit plays and 10 unit plays and 25 unit whales. 1. And a lot of that, I believe, comes down to trends and angles that we leverage to cash these things. The Brewers have messed them all up. They've messed them all up because they've won 14 straight fucking games. So anytime I pull up a Brewers trend, everything shows Brewers. So now my brain's in like meltdown mode because I can't get my hands on something that makes a lot of sense. So then I flipped gears and I started looking at this thing and I saw, just to wrap your hands around what makes the most sense here. And you're looking at statistically. Remember the movie Moneyball? DJ Hardy says, no 1,000 unit plays, Mike. No, not here. Not us. Everything's 1 unit. And that's why we can cast a wider net. But that being said, to the Moneyball reference, remember the scene towards the end when the A's went off and what they win? 21 straight games? Not here. Not here. I'll tell you, I swear to God, I've given out 3 like 2 unit plays and I'm 0 for 3. And I stopped doing it. I think I did it once here, twice on the other spot. And I was like, no more, man. You want to play them heavier, you go right the hell ahead. But we're gonna do this thing the right way. We're just gonna grind it out on a regular basis. And these guys now there's some guys with some of these other bigger companies that think, oh, you got an edge. You got an edge. They're sub 500 with their edges. So there's no edge. I've seen the data. That being said, in Moneyball, when the A's won like 21 in a row or whatever, right? And remember the scene where, what's his name? Brad Pitt turns the car around and he's talking to his daughter and he's like, I'm not going to do it. No. And then he does it anyways and they lose. There's the announcer that comes in there and he says, you built a team in the aggregate, but when it comes down to one play in one shot, do they have what it takes to go out there and replace the Johnny Damons, right? I'm paraphrasing. I probably fucked that all up. But the point is, you look at this Brewers team and go right down the rip. I'll do it for you right now. Bryce Turang, 278. William Contreras, 263. Jackson Chourio, 276. Christian Yelich, 267. Andrew Vaughn, 327. Isaac Collins, 288. Caleb Durbin, 252. Blake Perkins, 263. Joey Ortiz, 231. What's my point? That's a lot of fucking mediocre guys. And they've all gotten hot at the same time. Now, 2 things. 1, I think they peaked too early. You can't be a 250 hitter, win 14, 15 straight games, and think you're going to carry that on against teams that have a sub-1 bullpen ERA like the Phillies. Or teams like even the Yankees or Dodgers that have a lot of firepower. They're hitters. Some meat. You want to talk about some meat? Almost a 10-point improvement on every single Dodger pitcher or Dodger hitter than the Brewers. So my point behind all of that, and why am I looking at this as an opportunity to say, yeah, we can fade them? First of all, the Cubs just got shut out. What do we know about teams that come off a shutout? They're like fucking 95% this year. I can't make it up. I tell you guys every time we break down stats, they come off a shutout, they tend to go fire. If this was a day game, I'd 100%, I'd throw the fucking kitchen sink at the Cubs, because the Cubs getting off a loss during a day game, especially at home, kick ass and take some names. Now it is the second game of a doubleheader. Don't like to get involved in those. And we got our money on the first game. But just the law of large averages. Some may or may not recall, but I've said something about some of my history and background. And the law of large averages is entirely how the healthcare industry runs. And they can look down and they can see, based on this kind of sample size, yeah, Andrew Vaughn probably should go out there and do something and be more consistent, but you can't put money on the rest of those guys because they're hitting 1 out of every 4, maybe 1 out of every 5. So my point around why is now a time to fade the Brewers? If we were on the Brewers from day one and we rode that 14-game streak, yeah, I'd take 2 or 3 more losses and be like, hey, fuck it. We're still up 10 units. I thought they were going to bounce back. But now, and moving forward, especially after this Cubs shutout, at 260 batting averages, you can't sustain it. So I hope that's a good enough case for anybody that questions why am I. First of all, I wasn't on the Brewers since day one. And I don't think I really got on the Brewers at all. Might have had one or two here and there, but predominantly I was trying to play their unders because those bats are 250s, 260s. And they showed me wrong. So in any event, I'm going to take the Cubs in this spot. And the last one I got for you guys here in an NFL preseason, again, came off of the 4-0. I mean, listen, that's my case. That's my reason behind it. Just being fully transparent. And in terms of where I played those spots and where I faded those spots, I told you guys already. I went all the way back to literally a week ago. I think I've played 5 games now? 1-1 straight up. And the one was the Pirates after 14 runs with a 180 plus 185 price tag. And then 1-2 on the totals to the unders. We just cashed that one today. So I do believe now we're going to see that pendulum. It's a shifting pendulum, right? It's shifting back over to here. And that here is fade those fuckers. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take this Cincinnati Bengals team on the -3.5. I really like the over. The sharp respected action came in today. For what it's worth, the Houston Astros were part of that sharp respected action. Also, the Cincinnati Bengals. The definition of sharp respected action is who the fuck moved this line from 3 to 3.5 around 1 a.m. How did it move that half a run? And if you look at it, I'm going to I said this the other day. I think overall, when you look at the Nationals, whoever the fuck they are, the Commanders, I think this team's got some holes. Now, Jaden Daniels, now they did get Deebo Samuel, and you're going to probably sit there and be like, what are you talking about? Well, listen, they got a quarterback that's going into year 2, and he wasn't really high on the owner's draft list. In fact, they kind of went outside they went around the owner really to draft Jaden Daniels. Now, he played well last year. He's got Scary Terry. Sure, I get it. The thing is, the Bengals have continuity. They've got the ownership. They've got veterans in place. They got Joey Burrow going out there throwing 2 touchdowns every preseason game. They shit to bed last week. If a team's got anything to prove, now you could say, well, the Commanders just got doused. Yeah, because I think they're flawed. And I don't think you want to take a team like the Commanders when you got Sharman, soft Deebo Samuel. You got a sophomore quarterback, and the more tape they put on this guy, the more he's going to get exposed and uncovered. Fundamentally, those aren't spots you want to be involved with. On the other side of things, the Bengals, everyone's out there trying to earn a fucking contract. And they're all playing to show that Joey Burrow and his company are the best guys in the NFL. And look, it's hard to argue. Look at some of the results and performance that we've seen from two of 3 years in fantasy football, Joey Burrow and Jamar Chase, and it's an automatic win. Those guys are just putting up points on points on points. So a little bit of that is my gut and intuition that tells me the Commanders are kind of in a fuck spot and they don't want to put more tape out there on those guys. The other side of it is the Cincinnati team's trying to get they're trying to get the crown, and they got to get that crown from Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, and whoever else ranks into that division. So at the end of the day, I like the points in this game. I thought points was a really sharp look, taking to get involved in the over. You're not going to go out there and play Jaden Daniels more than a series, maybe 2. But again, you got to limit the tape on this guy. And on the other side of things, there's guys trying to make rosters. The defense and the secondary are going to be some spots that they're really going to focus in on. Cincinnati fucked that game up because of a fumble and bad special teams last time out. This line moved. It got steamed overnight from the 3 to 3.5. And that's kind of my position and my feeling pat on that, and saying this is a spot for us to take, the Cincinnati Bengals, take that 3 and don't worry about the hook. If we can get a 4, so be it. I wouldn't go crazy. It's a preseason game, right? If you want to tease it with the over, that's probably not a terrible look either. Keep in mind, 18 points from those Commanders last week, and that was a lot of second teams and second half. So I like the first half. Thought about the first half, but just give me the full game. Give me the better team to stretch this thing out over the haul. And that's what I got to say about that. Cincinnati -3.5. We had ourselves a nice little 4-0 run in the preseason. We'll see if we can't at least get the pre-flop sweep. Fucking 1-1 live stream, but so be it. We're making some money here in preseason football, making some money in baseball, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Added the Cubs, late add the Cubs, the number -110. Team coming off a shutout against a team that I don't believe can sustain. Can they go out there and put up another 14 runs? Maybe. Hopefully not. Eagle Swiatek just won the first set 7-5. On that note, you guys, good luck to everybody. Don't forget 8 p.m. Dana White Contender Series, that action's already out there from BB and Ramon Scott. They're going to launch the UFC Shanghai. And I told you guys this, in all of the land, number 2 king, VB MMA Picks, is going to be leading the charge out there. You can go validate that. If you want to reach out to me and validate that factually, I'll share it with you. I don't want to promote another website, though, because they're not paying me to do that. I'll tell you this, though. The number 2 guy in all of the world here when it comes to tracking their MMA results, there's over 600 cappers involved in this thing, and this guy's number 2. He does the show with us every week. You can see it. They're going to debut it at 8 p.m., and then we're going to pop on over at 9 p.m., cover that 33 football. I don't know what team I'm going to get. Hopefully I get the Eagles. That would be awesome. I don't know who else is likely to score 33 points, but I appreciate all you guys watching. Smash that thumbs up button. And I'll be back here tomorrow to do it again with you guys at 6 p.m. You know, Ramon Scott will be here at 9, 9:15, 9:30. I don't know. Ramon gets up at the crack of dawn. So we'll give him that. And I'm just playing. But thank you guys all for checking us out. Enjoy the evening. Good luck with your cash. Good luck with your bets. Shout out to my guy, JPZ. We'll let his outro get us out of here. Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. We don't stop. Rain, sleet, or snow. Pregaming is good to go.
Snow, Curtis, blow, flow, fuck all you haters. Fuck making bitch using best simulators. Fuck cashing in, all we wanna do is win. Put the juice in the gin, now it's time to begin. Fuck the books, they can take it on the chin. Surrendering dividends, don't fuck with my game. The show starts with capping and ends with them slapping and stacking cash and boatloads. They won't know what happened. It's pre-gaming and others, they seem lame. Like Abel meeting Cain, a bullet to the brain. We don't give a fuck like Kiki said. We ain't playing, we ain't game, but we ain't playing.
I'm back and I'm joined with my guy. Oh, we got a fight. Get a fight. Get a fight.